Okay, so here's objective one. I'm going to be going back and forth between the slides and the other Cami, so I can write as well. All right, so objective one is working fluently between multiple representations of functions, including function notation. So here we have a T-chart, and we have our function y is equal to 2x plus 3. So I'm going to use the points -4, -2, 0, 2, and 4. I like to use negatives as well as positives to make my lines. So if I were to input -4 into my function, the output would be -5. So this point would be -4, -5. So what I do is I take my point, and again, -4 is my x, so that's here, and then -5 is my y, so I go down to -5. All right, and that's my first point, -4, -5. If I were to input -2 for x, my output would be -1. So if I have -2 and -1, my point goes there. When I input 0, my output is 3, positive 3. So 0, positive 3. When I input 2 for x, I get 7 as an output. So I go over to 2 and up to 7. And if I have 4 as an output, I go over 4 and as an input, 4 as an input, and 11 is my output. So I go up to 11. And then I just connect my dots over here. And that would be my line. Okay. Here we are again. We have the function f of x is equal to 49 minus x squared. Find f of 5. So what that means is f of 5 is equal to when x equals 5. That's all it means. It means that x is equal to 5. So think of your function machine. We have an input of 5. We plug that into our equation. So we have 49 minus 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. So 49 minus 25 gives us 24. So that would be 24 would be your answer. Now we have f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 1. Find f of -3. So what does that mean? It means that -3 is your input. Okay, so we have -3 is going into the equation whenever you see an x. So -3 squared is positive 9. And then we add that to 2 times -3. So 2 times -3 is -6. So now that puts us at an answer of 3. And then we minus 1 to get 2. Okay, so our output would be positive 2. All right, so evaluating a function given its graph. The function f of x is graphed over here on the right. So find f of -6. Okay, so that means when x is -6, what is y? So I'm going to go over here, find -6, and I go up to the point, and it says, it's showing us that y would be 3. So that means when x is -6, y is 3. find f of 0. So when x is 0, y is 5. Okay, so it's simply reading the graph. Okay. Here are some practice problems that you're going to work on. They're pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to look at this little trick question here. Find f of x. F of x is equal to x squared when x is equal to w plus 1. So you're doing the same thing as you would have done up here, but instead of it being a number, it's going to be an expression. So you're plugging in w plus 1 wherever you see x in the equation, which is right here. Okay, so, and then I want you to remember or think of the FOIL method or distribution. So I want you to try that. And if you have not seen that before, we will go over it. All right, check for understanding for objective 1. See how you do. And then we're moving on to objective 2. Okay, so identify key features of functions. So finding slope from a pair of points. Okay, so we have slope, which also can be represented as m, is equal to the rise over run, which is equal to change in y, change in x, and which is also equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All of these mean the same thing, okay? So when you're finding rise over run, you're really finding this last part here. So let's look at an example. We have the ordered pair 4, 2 and -3 and 16. I'm just going to label these at the bottom. So my first ordered pair, I'm going to do x sub 1 and y sub 1. And my second ordered pair, I'm going to label x sub 2 and y sub 2, just so I keep these things organized. So I'm looking at my equation. M, which is slope, is equal to y sub 2, which is 16, minus y sub 1, which is 2, over x sub 2, which is -3, minus x sub 1, which is 4. So 16 minus 2 is 14, -3 minus 4 is -7, and we can simplify that to be -2. Or you could say -2 over 1. That's also the same. So that would be your slope. Okay, so we're just going to plot these points here. 4, 2. So I go from 4 to 2, over 4 up 2, and -3. So I go left -3 and up to 16, which is right here. And it's saying that my slope is -2. That's what we found in the previous slide. So if I were to say -2, I'm going up 2 and to the left 1. That also means negative slope. I could do it this way. I could go down 2 because it is a -2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And when I keep doing that, eventually I'm going to get to my point over here. Okay. Let me see if I can show that a little better over here. So we started at -316, and I went down to over 1 all the way until I get to 4, 2. All right. Practice problems. Find slope from the graph. So I want you to look at the points and find what slope is, and you'll input that in the boxes below. Same for number 3 and 4. And for slide 20, you're going to use the equation that we used in slide 16 to find what slope is for numbers 1 and 2. Okay, now we're getting into slope-intercept form. And that equation is y is equal to mx plus b. Get yourself familiarized with this equation, slope-intercept form. Okay, so we have m means slope, b means y-intercept. Okay, and here are some examples, and I'm going to go back to this over here. Okay, so here are some examples of slope-intercept form. We start with y is equal to negative x plus 3. What is my slope here? It is negative 1. Remember, any number, if there's no number in front of a variable, 1 is invisible. It's implied that it's 1. What is my slope here? My slope here is negative 4, and my y-intercept is at negative 1. For my example number 1, my y-intercept was at positive 3. Now we get to number 3. We need to move things around to make it look like our slope-intercept form. So I'm going to need to bring my x over, and I'm also going to need to figure out how to get my 2 over there. So first, I can, because this is standing alone, I can bring this to the other side by subtracting. Okay, so now we're left with 2y is equal to negative x minus 8. Now to get my y by itself on the left side, I need to, because this is multiplying 2 times y, I'm going to undo that by dividing. Okay, can I write on this? I cannot. So I'm going to bring it up here. That gives us y is equal to negative 1/2 x minus 4. Okay, so that's what that gives us over there. 1/2, negative 1/2, because this is a invisible 1. And then negative 8 divided by 2 gives us a negative 4. Now it's going to be your turn to practice. Find the slope from each equation. You will need to manipulate the 3 and 4 problems to find what slope is. Okay. Find the intercepts from a table. So we have in this original table negative 2, 1, 2, and 4. But there's a problem because we have some missing numbers here. We have our negative 1 that's missing, and we have a 0 that's missing in the table. So I'm going to need to fill those in. What I do is I'm looking at 1 and 2 over here because those come right after the other. So if I look at when I have x is equal to 1, y is 2. And when x is 2, y is 0. So there was a change there. And that change was a negative or subtracted 2. Correct? So let's see. When Or if I'm going in reverse from bottom to top, I'm saying, all right, I added 2 here. So what if I add 2 from when x is 1, and I add 2 to the 2, so I would get 4. So when x is 0, y is 4. Okay, so let's just put it around here. And then this is saying when x is 1, y is 2. So that's about the middle over here. And when x is -1, we can say that it is y is 6. And when x is -2, y is 8. Okay, so finding the intercepts from the table, I want to know when x is 0, y is what? We said that that was when x was 0, y was 4. And when y is 0, x is 2. So those are our intercepts. So find the intercepts from the table. That's how we find the intercepts. When x is 0, y is 4. And when y is 0, x is 2. That means that is where the line is crossing the axes on the graph. Okay, time to practice. We have find the intercepts. Again, your x-intercept and your y-intercept. So you're just going to put those ordered pairs there. Same for this one. Find your x-intercept and y-intercept. Make sure you're paying attention to where the line's crossing. And again, find the x and y intercepts. Okay, you're going to check for understanding for objective 2. And then we're going to pause here.